Introducing Simon Plooy from Corion Capital, who runs the Corion Gravitas NCIS retail hedge fund, which was established in 2015. Greetings, I'm Andrew Ludwig from BLACK ONYX Alternative Investments, where we bring you face to face with some of South Africa's most talented boutique asset managers and some of the industry stakeholders. It's with great pleasure I introduce you to Simon Plooy. Simon, thank you very much for joining us. I really appreciate you giving up your time. Perhaps you can tell us a bit about your background and how you got into alternative investments.
Thank you very much, Andrew. I started my career in the banking industry. I completed a master's degree from Northeast University. I did my master's in mathematical finance. Then, like I said, I went into the banking industry. I worked with some of the largest banks in the country. And it was there I was fortunate enough to be introduced to the alternative investment industry. It was through my background, which was risk management. I started out as a risk analyst and later on a risk manager. At one of the banks, they were setting up a platform to help administer the risk inherent in hedge funds and help investors understand that risk. So I was very much involved with the systems there, which gave me a natural way to explore many of the funds, understand the strategies, understand what each hedge fund is about, and how different managers try to exploit an investment opportunity. Later on, I moved down to Cape Town, where I joined what is now Corion, as part of the fund of fund team. The background I gained in the banking industry gave me the necessary insight to be able to analyze the funds and understand the risk in them, and analyze the risk and quantify the risk. We were also quite fortunate at that stage because Corion invested quite heavily into data systems and databases, that we were able to do quite detailed analysis on funds, which was a natural place for someone with a quantitative background like myself. Apart from that, I've got a passion for the markets, an interest in the markets. So I consider myself quite fortunate to be able to use both my quantitative skills and my interest in the markets in what I do at Corion.
Simon, please can you tell us about the firm and some of the strategies you represent?
Corion has been going for nearly 20 years. It's difficult to imagine that. Our flagship product, the Corion Absolute Fund, is one of the first fund of funds in the country. It's got a 16-year track record. It has seeded some of the funds that is now well known in the boutique industry. It was, in many cases, it was the first investor. It launched the first multi-strategy fund, and one of our products now is two of our products now is actually multi-strategy hedge funds where we've employed similar thinking. In addition to our hedge fund experience, we also run 2 unit trusts, both in the high equity and the low equity multi-asset space. I think we've got a proud history of innovation. So apart from the first fund of fund, the first multi-strategy fund, we were the brains behind a database system, and there's a separate company that now runs that we were the first client of. We were one of the first fund of funds to do full-scale risk across all the funds and combining it into one level. And also one of the first funds to start separating the market premium that investor can get by just investing in the equities from the manager's skill. I think one of our underlying beliefs are that managers should be rewarded for their skill and not for a premium that all investors can easily access. And we try and focus and make that separation. We're quite a small team, we're about 8 individuals, and it's nice to be part of the team. It's nice to interact with the different products, the different clients. We've got both institutional and retail clients, which makes it exciting on a day-to-day basis. There's always something different that one can get to be involved in, and what makes it enjoyable to work here.
Thank you, Simon. Could you now tell us a bit more detail about your fund and exactly how it differs from some of the other alternative products and mainstream investments?
Corion Gravitas is a multi-strategy hedge fund. It represents the amalgamation of a lot of things we've learned in the hedge fund industry. How one needs to allocate capital, how you need to incentivize and reward managers, and how you need to manage the risk in the product. For us, in the hedge fund industry, you want to be nimble. It's smaller strategies. There's many opportunities that the funds can access that traditional strategies are not able to. But speed is of the essence. So Corion Gravitas differs in its ability to quickly reallocate capital from one strategy to another strategy. Actually, so I suspect there is not another hedge fund that can that quickly move capital between managers and different strategies, maybe move from an equity strategy to a fixed income strategy. A typical fund needs to wait for 1 month to give notice for investment in order to get that capital, and then wait another month to physically get it into the account. So there's often a 2-month delay in order to reallocate capital, whereas we've got the ability to do that on the same day. Another important point is to reward managers for their skill. So because we amalgamate strategies within the fund as opposed to investing in another manager's fund, because we manage the capital on our side and appoint another manager to act on our behalf, we are able to give very explicit benchmarks which they need to outperform, and we can ensure that they take on active positions, that they take on a view for which they can reward it, as opposed to taking on a premium that anyone can access through an index fund. Lastly, it is our ability to manage the risk. So we've invested quite heavily in our systems over Corion's long history, and Gravitas has got the ability to manage the risk between strategies that are very different, and we're able to run what we call value at risk, which is a quantitative way of measuring risk, and that's just one of the ways in which we measure the risk. I think the fund's also different in that not all the managers are from one house. So you'll find that there is many multi-strategy funds out there, but all the different strategies are within one house. So we're not bound by limiting ourselves to one investment house. We can pick a strategy from any investment house and decide if that's going to be suitable for our fund. For that reason, we've got quite a diverse range of strategies. We've got some equity strategies, both in the so-called long-short, which is a very well-known hedge fund strategy, but also market neutral, that is also equity-based. But then we've also got fixed interest, we've got the commodity strategy, we've got some special opportunities that doesn't come to the market often, where we've got one guy just actively looking for strategy, for new special opportunities that's not readily available. And in that way, the fund is quite diverse. The underlying strategies are completely uncorrelated. Sometimes I think even we quite surprised how low the correlation between the strategies. At some points one would expect some correlation between managers and some similar performance, but in this case we were actually the strategies work well together, which makes the fund really appealing. It's got a moderate risk profile, which I think makes it ideal for a large range of investors. It's not as high risk as equities, it's not as low risk as bonds, it fits nice in the middle. And it's because of this diversification among the strategies that one gets this very nice profile of the investment.
Simon, thank you very much for joining us. Thank you for sharing your background and a bit about the firm and your fund itself. Thank you for tuning into Black Onyx. You can find us on www.blackonyx.co.za. We look forward to collaborating with you. Black Onyx is an authorized financial services provider and warns that there are risks associated with financial products, and past returns do not guarantee future performance. The purpose of this content is to present different regulated asset management strategies, overseen by regulated firms and individuals, whose opinion may not necessarily be shared by Black Onyx and or the members of the public. No information or opinions contained in these interviews constitute a recommendation or invitation in any jurisdiction to invest or otherwise deal in alternatives and traditional investments as represented by Black Onyx.